Okay, well, here we go. Knicks Off Day Live special edition with two guys, two gentlemen here who I am huge fans of, addicted to their show. We got Geoff and XJ from Hot Hand Theory here to talk Knicks with you guys on the off day here. We've got some interesting news to discuss and how the Knicks are going to adapt to it all. But welcome, fellas. I mean, the most pressing thing right now, we got confirmation today that OG Anunoby has a left hamstring strain. And they didn't classify what kind it is, whether it's a grade 1 or a grade 2. One of the doctors in one of the in the thread, I think on Shams' thread, said, "Oh, it sounds like it's a grade 1 or maybe a very low impact grade 2." So that's why the 2 weeks. They're going to reassess it in 2 weeks, but then of course he'll need ramp up time. So let's just say he's gone for at least a minimum of 3 weeks. That puts us to into December before Mr. Anunoby can get back on the court. The main question I have is, like, how are the Knicks going to survive without this man on the court defensively? Mostly defensively. I don't think offensively. Of course, he's been fantastic offensively, but I think his major impact is defensively. How are these Knicks going to survive these next few weeks without him?
Geoff, do you want to take a stab at it since we haven't gotten to hear much from you yet? I know I want to hear your voice now unmuted, so you can take the first stab.
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to take this one. I think short term is obviously really bad. Like, I don't know if he's their second or third most important player, but he's one of their 3 most important players. It's really hard to overcome just someone who impacts so many different things across every possession. You know, it's so natural to watch a basketball game and focus on, the guy guarding the ball or the guy holding the ball. But OG kind of just impacts everything, whether he's spacing in the corner, spacing above the break, whether he's cutting through the middle and opening up space for somebody else. And then defensively off ball, he's just always lurking, as, Knicks fans who have watched him for the last 2 or so years know. He just helps your team in so many different ways. And this is consistently reflected in every top-down impact metric, every on-off metric. Like, just pick one, and it tells you that OG is super helpful. So I don't know if there really is any replacing that. But at the same time, I think the Knicks are still good enough to tread water. I don't think they're going to win at the same rate that they would have with him on the court. But the priority should still be making sure he gets right and making sure he comes back when he's 100%, not, we don't like the short-term results and he's 90%, let's rush him back out there. We saw in 2023, 2024, what that can do to you, because the Knicks rushed him back at the end of the season, and then he re-injured himself in the playoffs, and he tried to do the old Willis Reed in Game 7 against the Pacers, and that didn't really go super well. So I would prioritize his health. I think that's what the Knicks will do. And I'll just swing it over to XJ maybe to talk more about what the Knicks will look like in his absence.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I agree with all of your statements there, Geoff. I just think the loss of OG, even temporarily, cannot be understated. Like, to me, the defense is giving up around 129 points per 100 possessions when OG is not on the court. That is dreadfully bad. Like, you cannot overstate how horrible that is. It is brutal. And I also think, just generally, this may feel like a hot take for Knicks fans. I'm not sure. He's more indispensable for the Knicks floor outcome than is Jalen Brunson, in my opinion. I think Jalen Brunson is more critical for their ceiling outcomes, in terms of how high they could potentially go and beating playoff teams and things like that. But for their floor, literally the bottom can drop out of this team without OG Anunoby on the court. And I don't think the same would happen without Jalen Brunson. So this is like a really, really big loss that I know Knicks fans may be looking for some positivity. I have some positivity, but I think you have to first acknowledge that this is going to be like a significant loss. My positivity comes in the space of the Knicks are going to have to just play better offensively. They're going to have to score and outscore their opponents. The defense is not going to be anywhere near the same. Deuce McBride's going to have to play a lot more minutes to help shore up the perimeter defense for sure. But the defense is just not going to be able to hold, any level of to the way that they've played when OG's on the court. So they're to make up for that, to account for that, they're going to have to score more offensively. We're going to have to see more pace, like we've kind of heard about coming into the season, and not just in the half court, but pace in terms of transition. Josh Hart's going to have to play more, and so for him to make an impact, he's going to have to push the ball up the court. And so all of these things are going to have to happen. And I just think that the Knicks are going to have to really, really ramp up their scoring to offset losing OG for, let's say, 3 weeks. But overall, the Knicks are going to have a tough time defensively for sure.
Man, ramp up their scoring. I mean, they
Even
put up
more.
140. They put up 140 the other night. Yeah, I agree with both of you guys. This his impact, his loss cannot be understated. It's going to be severe for the Knicks. I mean, of the top 5 in plus minus for these Knicks this season in total plus minus, Mitch is a plus 30. Right? He was a beast, but he plays very few minutes comparatively. Deuce is number 4 with a plus 37. Brunson, a plus 82 in total plus minus. Cat is second best with a plus 89. OG is a plus 127. That's and a lot of that, yes, of course, offensively he's been fabulous and incredibly efficient, but it's his defense. We saw the response on Friday without OG is the first time that I can recall that the Knicks played any significant amount of zone defense. How do you guys see? I mean, it was kind of done on the fly that night. I know there's some tweet going around that I think it was All City Sports or whatever put it out about the Knicks played. Yeah, here it is. Knicks played zone for 33 possessions last night against the Heat, and they played a total of 14 possessions for zone defense from the 2020 to 2024 season.
Right? That checks out. So
yeah,
I think that. So first of all, I think it's really going to be important to get the lineups right. Like, you just have to. I said this to XJ a couple days ago when we were doing Locked On Knicks. You can get away with suboptimal lineup construction when your talent is just so overwhelming that you just win anyways. Like, you don't have to nail those. When you're missing Jalen Brunson and OG Anunoby, it becomes paramount that each lineup you deploy is one that's attempting to maximize all the players on the court. You can't be deploying guys in their suboptimal roles when you don't have the tremendous talent advantage that they did with Brunson and OG Anunoby in most matchups. They're not going into most matchups with a decisive talent advantage anymore. And so along those lines, I really loved what XJ said about Josh Hart, because I think he is going to be the X factor in this stretch of time without OG Anunoby and Jalen Brunson. I actually think that in the games Mitch starts when he's not resting or whatever, they should just start Hart and Deuce, and they should play their 5 best players, because I think that's the best lineup for Josh Hart. I think specifically Josh Hart's best lineups are going to come with Mitchell Robinson when the spacing already isn't fully maximized. Like, when you have Mitchell Robinson, you already have a little bit of a I know you have to pay attention to him. He creates his own gravity, but you're not going 5 out. You're not trying to leverage Towns' spacing as a center. So Josh Hart should be kind of tied to Mitchell Robinson. And then you have the Deuce, Hart, McCall trio, which isn't going to be as good as defensively as Hart, McCall, OG, or Deuce, McCall, OG, or any of those trios, because OG is the best defender. But it can approximate it. You can put out a good defensive lineup with Deuce, Hart, McCall, and Mitch, and Towns as the 5th guy. I think that's going to be by far their best lineup in the short term. And to me, it makes a lot of sense, even though Landry Shamet was brilliant against Miami. I know it might sound strange to say that when Shamet's been starting some, but I think it's best for the Knicks to really, really make sure that they put specific guys with certain detriments and certain strengths in the right lineups for them to succeed, because they need their guys to have the best chance of succeeding without their best players.
Yeah, I totally buy into that as well. I think that the lineup constructions are going to be so critical because your margin for error is obviously dramatically lower without OG. But to your original point, George, about the zone defense, I love the zone defense. And in fact, I think the zone defense is going to be a critically important tool to be using along this stretch without OG and Anobi. I think, for instance, zone is really, really well suited to play against Miami in terms of their style of play.
Yeah.
Obviously, they don't run many screen and rolls. They don't really use on-ball screens. They want to keep as much spacing as possible and allow their guys to kind of dribble, penetrate, and get to the rim. And so the zone really helps clog things up in a way that offsets the amount of spacing that they'd like to have on the court. The nice thing for the Knicks is that if we look at their schedule, coming up, they're going to play the Heat, they're going to play the Mavs, they're going to play the Magic, Nets, Hornets, Bucks, Raptors, Celtics, Hornets again, then Jazz, Magic, Pacers, if OG happens to still be out for those additional games into later into December. The thing that most of those teams have in common, besides a couple of them, is that they either are low volume 3-point shooting teams or they're low percentage 3-point shooting teams. So these are teams that are not going to crush you if you're playing zone defense. In fact, a zone works really, really well against them, keeps them out of the paint, keeps them away from the rim when you don't have as good point of attack defenders, and they're not going to really hurt you from the 3-point line. Most likely, they're not going to hurt you from the 3-point line. And so this part of the schedule actually lines up really, really well for the Knicks in terms of the way that they're going to have to deploy their talent without OG and Anunoby. So I think the zone is going to be an important tool for this next 3 to 4 weeks potentially as well.
Yeah, it's a great point. Both of you guys made some great points there.
Now George is the one who's
now
muted.
George is muted.
Oh, I'm
We're
muted?
taking turns here.
Here we go. All right. Am I back?
You're back.
Yeah, you guys both made great points. The Josh Hart starting with Deuce is an interesting concept. He actually did some great playmaking. I've been impressed with his passing of late. I think he's kind of semi-leveled up a little bit in his creativity in passing and willingness to make the more difficult pass. The problem with him is the mistakes. And as the game goes on, we all know this, he tends to make those fourth quarter mistakes. And a lot of it is because, and I think Ian Begley actually discussed something about this, there was one of the coaches that interviewed with the Knicks had some data that said Hart's productivity drops off drastically after he plays past 25 minutes or something like that. I don't know the exact numbers, but we see it. We know. We've seen it with our own eyes. He even did it. And part of the reason that the score ended up being as crazy as it was on Friday is because of mistakes that Hart was making towards the end of the game, especially in those last 6-7 minutes. Driving into the paint, just the ball just suddenly lifting up like it was Tinkerbell, out of his hands, and then just dumb foul slamming into Jaquez while Cat is there getting the offensive rebound and put back, and he slams into Jaquez, and Jaquez slams into Cat, and then that negates the bucket. It's like he's not quite feast or famine like Johnny Starks used to be, but definitely you got to take the good with the bad with him. But when he's good, he's fabulous. His rebounding is tremendous. His activity, overall activity on the court, is that energy level is something that can help offset not having OG out there. So I think it's using Hart precisely is going to be the key here. And if you want him to be fresher for the fourth quarter, starting him might be difficult, but you can start him, maybe treat him a little bit like Mitch, George,
I just have a question for you. Do you
Sure.
think do you see a world where he doesn't play 30 to 32 minutes a game?
At this point, no, I don't see that.
So he's going to play. He's going to play the minutes regardless. So I think if we accept that, because I totally agree with the thrust of your point that this data is out there that Hart is more effective in these more concise minutes, these shorter bursts, when we can channel his best traits across shorter spurts. I'm not denying that information is out there, but I think that you and I also both agree that in this short term, with no Brunson, no OG Anunoby, he's going to play the minutes regardless, right? Like he's not going to play 24 minutes a night when they're not fully healthy.
Yeah.
If we can agree on that, then let's figure out how to get him in the lineups, even across longer minutes, that are most likely to maximize his strengths, in my opinion.
Then that would be having him with other ball handlers. So especially in those critical minutes when the game is getting tighter in the fourth quarter, there's a big disadvantage to the ball being in his hands and him having to make decisions once he's crossed a certain minutes threshold. So, but maybe there's a happy medium. Maybe it's like 30 minutes. Get throw some more minutes to Yabusele. Let's look at Mo Diawara. Let's look at 6 minutes of Dadier. Just so that we can just survive those minutes, so that we can have as fresh as possible of Josh Hart towards the end of the game. I think there might be some happy medium, and I'm sure Coach Brown is looking into that because he's probably fully aware right now of that aspect of Josh Hart's game, and that's part of what the coaching is, and the whole other coaching staff. I'm sure they're tapped into that, so they're going to try and figure that out because they saw it themselves. That game should have been at least an 18-point blowout instead of being an 8-point victory, and a lot of it came down to just poor execution towards the end of the game. About half of those were because of Josh Hart. So, but either way, he definitely is a key player right now for the Knicks while OG is on the sidelines. And the other point that I love that you brought up is, yes, the schedule happens to be somewhat favorable. If you're going to lose OG for, what are we talking, like 12 games now? 10 to 12, 15 games or so? If you're going to lose him for that much, yeah, I'd rather face the Mavericks, Nets, Hornets twice. Raptors, that'll be an interesting game. That'll be an interesting game because RJ and IQ are going to want to pick up a W there while OG is out. That is for sure. But yes, I mean the Bucks. Really the Bucks. AJ Green, he's like the only real outside threat. So a zone will be effective against the Bucks, which we didn't really use last time we played them. The Heat, perfectly right. The zone did slow them down, especially their ability to penetrate somewhat, even though they ended up with 132 points. So it's kind of weird to say that they slowed them down, and they still gave up tons of points. But the Magic, definitely. A zone defense that'll really frustrate Franz and Paolo and put a big burden on Desmond to keep shooting from the outside. Suggs, he's not a great three-point shooter, though he can be effective at times. The Nets, not even worth talking about. The Hornets are a weird team. They seem like a team that can beat anybody any night, but don't focus enough to do it. But they picked up 4 victories. Yeah, I think it's going to be a great challenge. Especially, what's weird is, do you think it's easier for the Knicks to adapt to missing OG while Brunson is still out? Or, will it be more difficult?
I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's because it's like, if Brunson was in, then McCall and Hart and Deuce could channel a higher percentage of their energy to where they're going to mostly miss OG defensively. But without Brunson too, McCall and Hart and Deuce have to take more of these ball handling duties, which might make it harder to also then replace OG defensively. So actually, any insight there? I think it's going to be more difficult, but I think they're capable of it as well.
I hear that reasoning. I think it's going to depend on the way that they go. Like, for instance, we talked a lot about Josh Hart and how many minutes he plays. Like, if I'm running the team, I'm keeping Josh Hart to his minutes like that he normally would have, which is around 25 to me. And a crucially important player, and George, you mentioned him, is going to be Gershon Yabusele. I think he is going to be so important for this run. And the reason being, you're still going to have to play a bunch of 5-shooter lineups, and you're going to have to score a lot. I know we just talked about how they scored a ton of points without OG Anunoby and without Jalen Brunson. And I think this team can consistently do that. But to do that, to Jeff's point earlier, they have to run out these really, really good and optimized lineups. And they also have to run out 5 shooter lineups. Because if we look at a very small number of 5 shooter lineups without OG on the court this season, the Knicks are like plus 25 points per 100 possessions. It's a small number of possessions, but they can score and they can outscore you. And it really doesn't matter how much you score, they're going to outscore you. And so if you can get Yabusele on the court, if you can get Yabusele Towns lineups on the court to really survive defensively, maybe through the aid of a zone defense, then you can outscore opponents, whether Brunson's on the court or OG's on the court. But I do think there is something to this idea of OG and Brunson being out versus just OG being out. When Brunson's up back on the court now, there's more difficult defensive situations that you have to address. And does your scoring kind of ceiling go up that much? Depends on how you play. I think Mike Brown can make this work either way, but it's a tough question. I don't have a strong, firm answer to that question, but I do think that with these 5 shooter lineups and these particular conditions, they will be able to outscore all of these teams that we've mentioned on the list. And I think you're right, George, to stop for a second on the Hornets. I don't think those Hornets games are going to be easy. The Hornets put up a ton of threes. If LaMelo Ball is healthy, then a zone will not work against that team. They will just shoot you out of the game. So you got to be careful with kind of writing those games off. But I do think this is a good stretch for them to be able to make this work. And I think we're going to learn a lot about this team.
Absolutely. Let's see, how many games are we talking about? We're talking about, let's see if we can go. So we have the Heat, Mavericks, Magic, Nets, Hornets, Bucks, Raptors, Celtics, Hornets again, Jazz, and then Magic on the 7th. Let's say the Magic game. He returns for that. So that is, what was that, 13 games? 14 games? If Knicks could go 9-5, would you take that?
Yes, I would sign for that
Yeah,
right now.
sign me up.
Sign me up for 9-5 right now. Yeah, that would be
9-5 would be nice. If we went, 7-7, would that feel a little disappointing?
With this schedule, it would. I don't know if disappointing is the right word. It would just be like they probably left a little bit on the table. I think you found like a nice little sweet spot there but I think this is a nice time to highlight too, like just how ridiculous this team is. Like the Knicks 5 years ago, imagine going in a time machine and telling a Knicks fan in 2019 that, they're in 6 years, they're going to lose 2 top 30 players and still be maybe disappointed at going 8-6 or 7-7 across 14 games. They would have like just started beating you with a bat or something, or just assumed you were insane. Like it's just, this team is so good. And I don't see any reason for just the general vibes to change about the nature of this team if they go 7-7 or 6-8, even without Jalen Brunson, OG Anunoby. This team is really, really well put together. They've shown the flashes of like really high level synergy and really high level tactics when they're all playing together. And just prioritize the health, get the full core back by whenever they're ready. And this team long term is just totally fine.
And we're not facing, absolutely, I think that's a great point about that. The depth of this team, the quality of this team is tremendous. And I don't think Knicks fans have really fully embraced that yet. Like we have a tendency to look more on the negative side of things, what we don't have. And it's true, we don't have, we have a little bit of it, but they're not being played. The young, athletic, long players, like we see the Hawks have. Some teams like that, they give us trouble, but we're not facing those kind of teams during this stretch, which is where we would desperately need an OG to help slow us down. So it's a favorable moment in the schedule for this to be happening. In terms of the Brunson factor, I actually, based upon we had a miracle night from bench production against the Heat. We haven't even talked about Clarkson. He had 24 points, really highly impactful points as well. They weren't garbage time points, and some shots that he created himself. He did take one bad 3-point attempt, but other than that, I don't think he really took that many. I don't think he took that many bad attempts. He didn't even have that many attempts, right? It was like under 10, I think. Like,
Yeah, no,
he went to the free throw line 11 times.
His efficiency was solid. Like it was a very, very good offensive game from Jordan Clarkson, no doubt.
Let's say with the extra minutes while he's out, while Brunson is out and OG's out, maybe he can be one of those, super bench guys, give you average 18 points a game in just 20 minutes, 22 minutes of play. Maybe he can be that kind of guy during this stretch. And that's how you can offset missing a guy like OG, just getting highly efficient production from your bench players. Shamet, I have a feeling, he had a career night. And I will say, I wish I had done a pregame show that night because I felt like Shamet was going to have a great game. There was just something about his whole attitude and demeanor that I've been seeing lately from him. And everything he said about loving New York and the fans and playing at MSG is for real. He loves it. And when you love something, you want to really want to reward the people who love you that way. And he came out with that passion, and he's playing with he's got dog in him, which is something I don't think people really expected or were ready for. He was fantastic in college. That's one thing. And he was a point guard in college. He's not a great ball handler. We saw him sometimes when he's trying to make the turn move, the ball gets a little loose. But then he's just burning Norman Powell baseline for reverse layups and then dunking over Khalil Ware. That's outstanding. Whether we're going to see 36 points from him every night is not really realistic, but I think we're going to see continued high production from him as well, and that's going to help offset missing OG. But the Brunson factor is real. I think when Brunson finally returns, I think the Knicks are going to be better defensively during this non-OG stretch without Brunson on the court. And we all agree they have enough offense to beat these teams that they're facing now, like the Heat, which they just proved it. But it's going to be tough to beat the Heat on Monday. Facing teams back-to-back. It's going to be tough. They're not going to want the Knicks to go to Miami and light them up for 140 points again. So they're going to come out, and Spo is, he's a genius. So he's going to come out with something to fuck the Knicks up on Monday. He's going to come up with something, no doubt about it. It's just how we respond. But we haven't talked about Karl-Anthony Towns yet. I think he is actually probably the biggest key to all of this working. For the Knicks to even aspire to get through this stretch and be a plus 500 team while OG is gone, Karl-Anthony Towns is the absolute key to it all. How do you guys assess his no,
it's just a perfect segue, because this is like Geoff and I were having this conversation the other day, and it's just about, from a Karl-Anthony Towns standpoint, and it has been the case for a lot of his career, it's about his aggression, it's about his assertiveness, it's about his willingness to take shots, his willingness to get to the basket, to just be the guy, the focal point of an offense. And that doesn't just mean taking shots, but it means creating a threat of a shot constantly, creating a threat of a high percentage look, which he has the capacity to do. Like Karl-Anthony Towns, everything he does well is high value, is high efficiency. He takes threes at a high clip, or not at a high rate as much as he should, but he makes them at an extremely efficient rate, or he gets really close to the basket, finishes layups and post attempts. And so when Karl-Anthony Towns has the ball and you're the defense, you have to be on guard unless he doesn't want to shoot that much, and that you can kind of chill out. So he needs to change that reputation. All of these teams that we just talked about, the Heat, the Mavs, the Hornets, the Magic, the Nets, they need to come into these games thinking Karl-Anthony Towns might shoot 30 shots tonight. We're going to have to be on Karl-Anthony Towns. And if they think that coming into the game, that's going to have a huge effect for the Knicks overall in terms of their ability to score.
And 10 3-pointers.
At least 10 3-pointers. Like they have to be worried that Karl-Anthony Towns is coming in looking to do damage. And it makes such a big impact. It's not just about making shots. And I think that's what some people, like overlook at times. We mentioned the Charlotte Hornets and LaMelo Ball being a highly inefficient player generally. his impact on the game is like not commensurate with his efficiency as you think of it. And that's just because he has that aggression. Like you have to guard him out to 28 feet because he might shoot anytime, any place, anywhere, any shot clock, under any circumstances, defended by anyone. And so you have to respect that. And so, yeah, he's not going to be as efficient, but he's going to make his teammates better. Karl-Anthony Towns needs to have a little bit of that in him during this stretch where it's like, man, Karl-Anthony Towns has the ball, red light, get out and guard that guy. And that will make his teammates better offensively because they're going to need to score a ton of points to offset missing OG Anunoby.
And also with the Towns thing, there's been so much conversation around the Brunson Towns dynamic. And I think it's actually like it was one way last season. And I think after watching how Brunson started this season and the way Mike Brown is deploying him differently, I think the conversation has now tipped in the entire other direction in the sense of Brunson is making the passes that Mike Brown wants him to make. He's playing table setter in a way that I would argue he hadn't in his first 3 seasons as a Knick under Tom Thibodeau. And so now all of a sudden you have this Brunson Towns dynamic where Towns needs to shoot more because Brunson is consistently setting him up more, or he's making a pass that's going to set Towns up more. And I don't know if anybody else has, framed it this way, but I'm just imagining a world where Towns spends the next couple of weeks being as aggressive as he's ever been in his career, reaping the benefits of being as aggressive as he's ever been in his career. And then Jalen Brunson comes back whenever he's supposed to come back. And you have a fully maximized version of both Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns playing together, with Towns carrying over this newfound aggression, playing next to Jalen Brunson at his best. There's a world, I'm not predicting this, but I'm just saying there is a world where Towns takes the right lessons from this stretch without Jalen Brunson, and we see the best version of Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns playing together.
Wouldn't that be something? That would be a sight to see. I think you tapped right into it, and I think Cat recognizes that. He actually showed that Friday night, the first game without Brunson. He came out, he was incredibly aggressive, and everyone's already pointed this out, including myself. What I loved about his response in the second half, when he did a little bit of a heat check, those deep threes didn't drop, but he was starting to get double teamed, and he was looking for the open guy, and he became a facilitator, and that's partly is what helped Shamet, get some nice buckets, to have the space for Shamet to operate. I loved his adjustment. I think the wrinkle, that's not even the right word, but I think what Spo's going to do come Monday is he's going to start right away with double teaming Cat. He's not going to let Cat get comfortable. So the other guys on the court are going to have to be ready to respond instantly. Mikal Bridges, he cooled off drastically in that second half. And it might be because it's the most minutes he's played all season, even though he is a minutes maniac. He played like 40 minutes, 41 minutes or something like that. Yeah, I think he had some long stretches there. He got the 7 steals, which was fabulous, and I didn't give him his flowers for that in the recap. Sorry, Mikal. I kind of give him a hard time about some parts of his defense. He did get beat here and there, and then just offensively, he went cold when the Knicks needed him to stay hot. But luckily, Shamet made up for it for those 15 points in third quarter and 15 points in the fourth quarter, and then Clarkson doing his thing. And Hart as well, hitting threes, not passing up open shots, which is essential. It's crazy. That's one thing. I guess we could talk about it now. That part of it, the passing up open shots. It's crazy how much pushback I would get over the years about how annoyed that made me. And like, well, but he's not a good shooter. It's like, that's not the point. The offense, there's only 24 seconds in the clock. The offense just worked really hard to get one of the 5 guys a good open look, and now he's going to pass it up, drive into traffic, and like fling the ball out the sideline. I mean, what's the point in that?
But and also, George, I think the thing that somebody who pushes back on you is missing is it's not even about the possession that he passes up the 3 on. So like somebody's probably thinking like, oh, I mean, like it's just one open three from an inconsistent shooter. The problem is not that one possession. It is when the defense knows that you're not going to shoot that, the way the other 99 out of 100 possessions are then impacted. It has extrapolatory effects on those other 99 possessions in a negative way on the team Josh Hart plays for, or fill in person who's a smaller wing who isn't shooting wide open threes.
Yeah, it's not just a Josh Hart issue. It's any
no,
player
it's
who
not.
does-
No,
yeah,
it's not. It's not. Yeah, this is a macro theoretical conversation. It's not just about Josh Hart. If you're a wing in modern 2025 basketball and the defense doesn't have to respect you as a shooter, they can pinch in a little bit more. They can pre-rotate off you earlier. They can do all these things that make playing defense in 2025 is impossible. It's so hard. You have to, like, JJ Redick had a beautiful monologue about it in his post game a couple nights ago. It's just so hard to play defense because you have to do so many different things. You have to pre-rotate, you have to scram, you have to stunt, you have to do all these different things because guys are so skilled and there's so much shooting that they're going to take every advantage that they can get. And a wing who doesn't shoot that they don't have to factor into the equation is a huge relative advantage. So yeah, Josh Hart's overall impact across 100 possessions is just so much greater when he's shooting, even if he's only shooting it at a 30% clip, because it's human intuition to start accounting for, oh, we're not going to let an open guy shoot this open three. They stop hedging off them a little bit. There are these micro transactions that you gain as an offense when Josh Hart is shooting more consistently that doesn't get accounted for when all you're thinking is, it's just one shot. It's not just one shot. It's the whole totality of the team's offense or the opponent's ability to optimally defend against you.
yeah, and it makes it more difficult for the other four guys on the court to get good looks, and then the shot clock is winding down, and then they're taking a desperate heave, so that all translates what his adjustment. And I only saw it one time on Friday. I love that he's become confident in just taking that shot. It's made a world of difference for the team when he's on the court, those minutes that he's sharing the court, especially with Cat, because you want to punish teams that double team Cat. So if you're going to have Hart out there, let's say your idea of starting Hart in place of OG, he's going to have to continue to play that way. That's a good question. Let's get into talking about that. Actually, how do you feel? Who do you think who should be the starting lineup tomorrow against the Heat?
Man, I'd start Mitch and sorry, not Mitch. I'd start Deuce and Shamit, honestly. That would be the direction I would go. And of course, this is all contingent on, like, I said Mitch because Mitch was on my mind. You're going to need Mitch's minimal 15 minutes a game during this whole stretch because defensively, that's the only way you're going to hold up. But again, to me, this is offense. We have to see the Knicks play at a historic offensive rate to be able to win games consistently across this stretch. And you can play zone, like we talked about, to mitigate some of your interior weaknesses. But if you're going to look to score, I'm playing five shooters. I'm having threats everywhere. I'm having Karl Anthony Towns be hyper aggressive. And then if I'm hyper aggressive on Karl Anthony Towns defensively, he has a shooter to pass it to who's going to knock that down with confidence. And so I think you need to have these two guys, Shamit and Deuce McBride, the Knicks' most aggressive, consistent three-point shooters who will take any three-point shot that they're afforded. They need to be on the court a ton of minutes. And so, yeah, you're going to suffer defensively, absolutely. But you were going to anyway without OG Anunoby. So I'm not doing a half measure. I'm going all in on what the strengths of my team are at this point. So I'm looking at my team as the Knicks without Jalen Brunson and OG Anunoby. And I'm saying, what are my strengths? Shooting everywhere. I'm doubling down on that. And so that's the direction I'd go. I'd be surprised if they go in that direction immediately. But I also agree with what you were saying, George, about like the Heat's potential strategy coming into this game. I think that you talked about a little bit what they might do defensively against Towns. They're going to have a way to address this zone defense. So it may just not be anywhere near as effective as they were not expecting that to be unleashed in the way that it was. And so the adjustment is going to happen. And so that even begs the requirement to score even more. So I know this may sound crazy because I'm like, basically like the Knicks have to score 140 points every time they run it out. But I think the Knicks have to score 140 points every time they run it out. So that's the way that I go. And, we'll see if I'm wrong about that.
Well, 53 3-point attempts is a way to get to 140 points. That
Absolutely.
was insane volume that they put up from the 3-point line on Friday night. And I think they're going to have to repeat that again. There's no doubt about it. But a lot of that will depend on Cat willing to take at least 10 3-point attempts like he did Friday night. So there's going to be adjustments left and right. It's going to be fast. It's kind of like a little mini playoffs, and you see how the team adjusts to what just happened in the game before. And with Spo and Mike Brown, shout out to him. I think he's done an excellent job with these Knicks so far this season, and he's admitted when he's made mistakes, which is so refreshing. I'm excited for this game Monday night. Deuce, shout out to Foxy who's pointed this out. The Knicks have downgraded Deuce for personal reasons to questionable for Monday's game against Miami.
That'd be tough not having Jalen Brunson, Deuce McBride, and OG Anunoby. I don't know about that one.
Yeah, it's Tyler Kolek time.
It's maybe because I know several people who thought it was kind of a mistake to not have Deuce out there in the late minutes of that fourth quarter. I think you said it, or is it Geoff? You said it. Someone said it.
Yeah, Geoff said it. I said it on Locked On Knicks.
Yeah, that's where I heard it. Yeah, you said it. Yeah, I think it was, and I agree, 100% agree. At first I thought, is he injured? Did something happen? But then you just get caught up watching the game, and I do think it was a mistake to not have him out there. But if we don't have Deuce, it's gonna be really interesting. Then I think you'll have to start Hart. It'll be Hart and Shamet.
Yeah, Hart would start if Deuce is out. That's just another one of those the discussion about Deuce closing that game, because I don't think Deuce was like overly great against Miami. I think Clarkson was probably clearly more impactful on the whole. So I would understand if somebody was like, well, Mike Brown closed with the guys who were the best in that game. Like that would be. But the thing I think about, and if you're trying to understand my perspective, the reason I would have closed Deuce regardless is because at the end of that game in the last couple of minutes, Jordan Clarkson wasn't asked to be the Jordan Clarkson who was thriving throughout the game. He was playing off of McCall, and he was playing off of Josh Hart and Landry Shamet and Towns. And so when you consider that role, don't think about the player, think about the role that Jordan Clarkson was playing. It was a spacer and a defender. That's where you're going to accrue all of your impact in those minutes. Deuce McBride, even on an off night, is just so much better suited to help the team in that role as the off-ball spacer and the defender. Like they were getting thrashed defensively. Yeah. They could have used an extra defender. That's where you want Deuce out there in those moments. And I think, again, to sort of bring this full circle, these are decisions in the short term Mike Brown's going to have to get right a higher percentage of the time, because they're not winning these games on a decisive talent advantage.
Yeah, I'll be the naysayer here. So obviously people know I love Deuce McBride. Definitely one of my favorite players on the Knicks, and I think he's like vastly underrated. What I like about how Jordan Clarkson has played this season, and I'm notoriously a Jordan Clarkson doubter, so this is a really funny position for me to be in. I was not so excited about the Jordan Clarkson acquisition. Jordan Clarkson has played.
Either was I.
Well, yeah. So you might agree with this then. Jordan Clarkson is playing some of the best basketball of his career, in my opinion. And I know he's older, and I know he's been past his prime, and I know he's done some more impressive things offensively earlier in his career. I think the last maybe 10 games has been Jordan Clarkson like better than he's ever been. And the reason for that is, yeah, he's not going to be great defensively. He's competing a little bit more, but he's always going to get beat defensively. Deuce is always going to have him there. But as an off-ball threat, Jordan Clarkson has basically turned himself into an entirely different player. He is able to catch and shoot like he never has before. He's always been kind of close into pull-up shooting versus catch and shoot attempts, which is not good unless your name is Steph Curry for the most part. He's taken way more catch and shoot threes. He is able to attack closeouts. And when we talk about that advantage, when the ball comes to you, and the Knicks have created this advantage and the defense is rotating, when it goes to Hart, we're talking about saying, all right, well, he's going to dribble into the lane and then kind of they'll collapse on him. And then that advantage is then gone. It's poof. It's magically disappeared. With Jordan Clarkson, he is maintaining that advantage. He's getting into the paint. He's getting to floater range. He's scoring on the interior. He's getting fouled. He took 11 free throws, which is completely absurd. Or he's hitting a wide open three and taking it catch and shoot in stride. This is not the way that we're used to seeing Jordan Clarkson play, at least from my vantage point. And so given that fact, I think Jordan Clarkson has been, I mean, I'm not saying I would play him over Deuce long term for sure, but just has been a vastly more important player to the Knicks so far. And for me in general, like I wouldn't play it like situationally, like I need more defense in this standpoint. It's like for me, I always need to score more points than my opponent. And I don't think it's a clear decision personally that I would go with Deuce McBride over Jordan Clarkson. I think it's more of a 50-50 decision.
Time, you mean?
Late in crunch time. Yeah, I think it's more of a 50-50 decision to me. Like if he went with Deuce McBride, I wouldn't be like, go get Jordan Clarkson back in the game. But if he went with Jordan Clarkson, I wouldn't be like, dude, what are you doing? You got to get this right. Like to me, it's like, that's more of a toss up based on how Jordan Clarkson has played. And I wouldn't say he's like earned the ability to close that game, but he played exceptionally well. This is really some Jordan Clarkson I never really expected.
Yeah, I agree with you about the surprise that Clarkson has been on the Knicks this season and how well he's playing, how well he's adapted to his role. You can even see it at times when he's coming up with the ball, making the decision. He can see the offense is stagnating. He's like, I got to get a bucket for my guys, and he'll like dance into the paint and, spin and twist and lay it up and get the 2 points, like some amazing stuff. And sometimes he doesn't quite hit it, but I like the decision-making process where in the first couple of games of the season and maybe even in that preseason, he was just kind of chucking. He wasn't making surgical decisions to when to inflict himself upon the defense and give the offense that injection that it needs because it's stagnating. Now he's doing that. And that I love. And defensively, if he was a C- defender before, I upgrade him to a C+ right now.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah. Which is nice. A C+, okay, not quite below the line, just slightly above. He's giving you some of that, which is nice. I agree with Geoff. I think he was rewarded for his play throughout the game by being out on the court late in the fourth quarter over Deuce, because Deuce wasn't having a great game in general, but in terms of you need defense and smart decision making out there, you're going to put Deuce out there. But I think it was a reward thing, and I don't think it was I don't think it was a mistake, because it might pay off later on for Clarkson. Because if Clarkson is having these hot games, highly efficient games, getting to the free throw line type of games, you're going to need him to have those late minute crunch time minutes, where the game's starting to get tight. So because he hasn't been in a winning environment in several years. So if he's not out on the floor, how's he going to experience that? So I think it was like partly that was happening there. So, but at the end of the day, if we had lost the game, it would have really been a big issue. It would have been like, what? So, I actually agree with both of you. In that respect, how you use him is going to be instrumental to keeping this Knicks bench thriving at this point, because he and Hart. Well, Deuce is now starting, but Deuce is the bench guy. He and Hart are the key players from that bench. But Shamet was actually the first guy to come off the bench on Friday night. So
I just want to say really quickly, like I think for me at least, a big really refreshing thing about this season is that most of the decisions made by Mike Brown, I will say, like very few of them, I'm like, this is clearly like a suboptimal decision. Like this is like, you shouldn't do this. I don't feel like that about basically any of his decisions. Sometimes I disagree and I'm like, I would have went in this direction, but I could kind of always see his reasoning for it, or imagine some potential hypothesized reasoning for it that would sway me in that direction. And so I don't feel as strongly. I feel a little bit like I can just defer to that expertise and kind of what he's going for there. which differs a lot from last season when a lot of decisions that Tibbs made, I was just like,
Yeah,
no, you
like,
can't do this. This is bad. I don't like you cannot justify this to me. Like, this is not a good decision. And so I'm a little bit more leaning towards like being able to defer to Mike Brown throughout the season with a lot of these decisions, even if I don't necessarily fully agree.
Feel the same way about that. Yeah, I'm less like doubting everything. I'm like, oh, well, I wonder what the reasoning is for that, or instead of having an instant knee-jerk reaction to that. Just take a moment here to recognize the chat. Thank you guys for rolling up. I can't wait to go back and reread this. There was some great discussions. Shout out to Fox Sports Talk. We survey 100 people. One of the excellent mod. Thank you for donating a subscription. Thank you so much. To Drew Reviews Music. Hey, Drew Reviews. Love it. Love the support the channel is getting. We got Chris Gotti in the house. We got JB Deal. Man, we got some good. John Rover. Fritz. What's up, brother? Fritz. Love Fritz takes on his trades and stuff. We got Hugo Daniel. Yeah, I got a nice robust chat here. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so and turn on a notification bell and check out Hot Hand Theory, one of the best Knicks channels around, no doubt about it. It's one of my addictions. And hit the thumbs up button for us and share the video and drop your comments if you're watching this later on, especially if it's a replay. Definitely drop your comments. I try to read them all. And let's start to bring this down to the home stretch here. I said we'd probably be on for about an hour. We got Geoff's. Geoff looks like he needs to take a little bit of a nap.
Oh, brother.
he's like, because what? Apparently, XJ and I are kind of winded, so we need to give Geoff a little time here. Geoff, what is the thing that you want to see happening with these Knicks for the next couple of weeks? What is there anything that you'd like for example, now Mike Brown's starting to use zone defense. Is there something that you've been looking for this team to lean into?
Yeah, I would say using Towns as a hub above the break more with those DHOs that we saw would be a really nice direction just to take for him, to get him more comfortable and more chemistry with guys like Mikal Bridges and Josh Hart and Deuce McBride, Jordan Clarkson, Landry Shamet, especially. Landry Shamet thrives in those sort of like, he's always moving. He's always running around the perimeter. So just trying to see ways that they can run offense that isn't somebody starts with the ball, at the top of the key and gets a screen and creates an advantage that way. It would be interesting to me to see the offense run more through Towns in that way, just to get a sense of, because a lot of people really, really wonder if in like the biggest moments, Towns's inability to create offense in the way that like Julius Randle could when Julius Randle was a Knick, the way Julius Randle could force collapses in the paint and then spray the ball. There are plenty of people who prefer that style of offensive initiation because Jalen Brunson can't necessarily just carry like a 50% usage, like he can't just do everything all the time, even though sometimes it seems like he can. So getting a better feel for what Towns' strengths are as an initiator when the offense is truly being run through him, this is an opportunity for the Knicks to do that. And again, to prime themselves for a situation where Jalen Brunson returns and they have the best version of Karl Anthony Towns and they can move forward with both of them sort of maximized together.
Nice. Yeah, I see. One of the guys he is effective with the dribble handoff is Deuce. I noticed like it kind of comes natural to them. I haven't seen much with Mikal, with Cat.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like theoretically he should be good though. He's a good mover. He's got like I agree with you that we haven't seen a lot of it. I don't think that means that we can't see a lot of it.
Yeah, I would love to see that. I would love to see that. How about you, XJ? Is there anything that you're looking forward to or you would like to see?
Yeah, I mean, beyond the things that I've talked about in terms of the volume of scoring, the 5-out shooting lineups, all of those kinds of things, I would like to see an increase in pace. I think that's going to be critical for them. Obviously, people know that Jalen Brunson is naturally a slower player. He likes a lower tempo game. He likes to be a little bit more methodical, but he's made huge improvements so far this season, which is great. With him out and with OG out, you need to fly up and down the court. The Knicks had a 97.6 possessions per game pace last season. This season, it's up to 100.6 possessions per game. 3 possessions per game more is significant, especially if you're talking about scoring like 1.2 points per possession. Now you're talking about nearly 4 points more per game, but I think they can increase that even more, especially in this situation. I think they should be flying up and down the court, using the full depth that they have. Guys should be all out there playing 25 minutes each and being full strength, flying up and down the court, spraying the ball around, hitting a bunch of threes. And I think without Jalen Brunson to kind of be like, we have a clear captain who's going to, dictate the way that we play. It's like, it's going to be diversified. It's going to be spread all around, and whoever gets the ball, run it up the court and get a quick shot, hunt for a quick shot. If you don't have one, you run your offense, obviously, but I'm looking for the pace to go significantly higher over this next stretch, especially without Brunson and OG. So that's what I'd be looking for.
I would love that. I would love a higher pace for sure. Those additional possessions, like you said, they mean a lot. I mean, they definitely impact. They could be the difference between winning and losing a game. There's no doubt about that. What I'd like to see in these next 2 weeks is for Coach Brown to find some meaningful minutes for Mo Diawara and maybe even see some Pacome Dadier. This is a time to find out what they have. There's a trade deadline, February 8th, 6th looming. Let's find out. Maybe Dadier, maybe you give him 5 minutes, 8 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes in a game, and he actually delivers and he starts looking like a real prospect. It can help you in multitudes of ways. For one, extend your depth, and also it can increase his value as a trade piece. So since you are going to need to fill minutes, and we know that Josh Hart, when he plays too many minutes, we start getting diminishing returns on him. So lean into this period, and then Yabu, maybe this is what Yabu needs to break out of the funk that he's been in. I think for him though, he's just played a shit ton of minutes. I think he played the Olympics, then he played all last season, and then he played Eurobasket. The guy's barely had any rest. I think, so that's going to be hard for him to get rest in season, barring him being just iced for a little while, which now you can't do it. So, but maybe he can just play through that and get a second win or whatever, a fifth win, wherever he's at right now. Because that's what I would like to see, is some of these other guys get some meaningful minutes so that either we can find out if they can contribute, and maybe they will. Maybe they'll reward Brown with some major contribution and also become pieces for trade. Because maybe Yabu's the guy that we have to trade along, at some point, because we may need to severely upgrade.
It's a really important point, George, because when the Knicks are fully healthy and Mitch is starting next to Brunson, McCall, Towns, and OG, think about who the first 4 guys off the bench are. I don't mean like literally in order, because I know he likes to get Yabusele in to spell Mitch. He doesn't like to play Mitch for long spurts. But if you think about it just in sort of a pecking order standpoint, you've got Hart, you've got Deuce, you've got Shamet, and you've got Clarkson. Like, I would argue those are their 6 through 9 guys. Those are all guards, and like in Hart's case, an undersized wing. They need to get to the trade deadline and have a good stranglehold on their big man situation, because I think there's a very realistic chance. Like, they need to know how much do we trust Yabusele? Because if they're not going to trust him in big moments, in big games, and there are games where he's playing 4, 6, 0 minutes, they don't have enough big men. They don't have the requisite big men for a playoff run. They've shown that they're not just going to have one of Mitch or Towns on the court at all times. And if their 4 most trusted bench players are 3 guards and Josh Hart, that's going to be really tough. And it's going to require either a starting lineup change so that Mitch and Towns are better staggered and you can have one of them on the court at all times, or a trade for a third big man. They need to get to the trade deadline with a really confident feeling in their rotation and who they trust and who they don't trust, so that they know, oh, we got to go out and get somebody.
Would you talking like
or
a
they don't.
center, like a true 5, or more of
Like
like a 4 or 5?
either. I think either, honestly. Like, I just think that they definitely are going to need a third big, whether that's a power forward or a center, just a third big that they can trust. And I'm not saying Yabusele can't be that guy,
Dude,
but to your point,
Yabusele,
George,
on a night when OG went down, only played 5 minutes. He only played 6. So
right?
that's not a good sign.
That's not a good sign. But that's to your point, George. Is these games are where you got to figure out what you have in him, and you can't just play him 6 minutes on nights he doesn't have it. You got to see what he can do with some rhythm, and if he isn't the answer, then at least they have that information.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with all that. To me, I think in summary, there's a lot of open questions. There's a lot of answers that we've had so far this season in terms of Mike Brown's system, his approach, like the ceiling, the potential that this team has, I think has clearly been confirmed when everyone's healthy. But there are still some questions about the big situation, the wing situation, like you mentioned, George, and use this up as an opportunity. Use this time without Jalen Brunson, and even when Jalen Brunson comes back without OG and Anunoby, as an opportunity to help answer some of those unanswered questions. So the more answers we have going into February, into the trade deadline, and then into the playoffs, the better off the team will be in the playoff situation. So try to answer as many questions as you have. And even if you don't get all the wins you want during this stretch, at least you can come out of it with something positive to move your season forward.
Yes. Okay, we're getting down the home stretch. I have one final topic of discussion because it kind of ties into exactly what Geoff was talking about there. What the hell happened to Ariel Hakporti? He played 2 seconds in that game. I thought for a while he's even started games, and now he just seems to be in Mike Brown's doghouse. Do you guys have you noticed that? What's your take on his situation and what he needs to get out of it?
I think it's just a different coach. Like, I think that the reason Hakporti was playing when Mitch was hurt last season is because the way Tibbs viewed basketball is that you just need that big rim protecting center. And it's clear that Mike Brown views the best version of this team as one with Mitchell Robinson as the starting center. It's not that he doesn't value those things, but it's just he'd rather, when Mitchell Robinson isn't playing, or when he isn't on the court in the games he is playing, he'd rather just do a good version of a different style of playing basketball than like a way worse iteration of what Mitch can do. Like, so, Tibbs was like
Timu Mitch isn't
right. Exactly. He's like, we don't need a discount Mitch out there. Let's just play a different way and we can be better. And let's emphasize different strengths rather than just, oh, well, we're playing this way when Mitch is on the court. Let's just try to play the same way and have Hakporti.
Oof, if that's true, that doesn't bode well for Hakporti's future. At least his immediate future here with these Knicks. What's your feeling about it, XJ?
I agree. I mean, I think again, see, I'm in this situation where I'm more willing to kind of defer to the coaching position at this point, and I don't know what he's seeing in practice from Hakporti. I don't know what he's seeing in the games in terms of the
I'm
things
not saying
he's
I
asking him
disagree
to
with
do.
it. I'm not saying I disagree. I'm just saying
I know.
I find it bizarre when we can easily see that we lack length on this team.
Yeah.
And he's an athletic big. He's agile.
Absolutely.
He's fast. So he's not lumbering. So he kind of,
Absolutely.
paper, I mean, not on paper, what we've seen gives you what you think that Mike Brown would really want. But yet.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know exactly what he's seeing that's making him make this decision. For as far as me, from my vantage point, I'd play Hakporti a little bit more. And I think during this stretch, you'll have to see what he can do defensively to kind of hold down the fort, especially against particular teams in this upcoming matchup. But like, I don't know if there's just stuff that Mike Brown is like, yeah, this guy is not going to be here. Like, this is not a future player that's going to be in my rotation. And I don't know what those things may be, but I like Hakporti, and I think can be a valuable contributor, but I'm not I don't know. I'm not so high on him where I feel like there's really a lot missing out. Personally, I'd rather see more from Pacome and Diawara, honestly. Like I that would be more exciting to me to kind of see what those guys have. And I do think like Geoff said, I agree. The big situation is something that has to be worked out because if you don't trust in Hookporty, that's one style of big. You don't trust in Yabusele, that's another style of big. You're not just banking your season on Mitchell Robinson being healthy. Like if you're doing that,
Yeah.
you're doing a disservice to your team. So there's got to be a pivot there somewhere. And if you've pivoted left and you've pivoted right and you're like, I don't want to go either way, you're going to have to go in a different direction. So like that's really what I'm curious to see.
Yeah, and look, we're not going to see the days of Mitch playing 32 minutes. That's not going to happen during the regular season. They've decided, and I think smartly, even though it was frustrating that he missed those first, what was it, 4 or 5 games of the season. That was weird. But they're going to play him 3-minute spurts. He's going to average anywhere from 14 to 18 minutes a game, maybe sometimes 20, 22 at the high end. We're not going to see more than that. So there's going to be plenty of minutes for another big on this team. In the playoffs, that's a whole different story. Playoffs, I think Mitch will play 28 to 32 minutes. There's no back-to-backs in the playoffs. Sometimes there's 3 nights off in between. I think, depending on the matchups, I think we will see a ramp-up in minutes for Mitch at that point. But at this point, so let's say, we play some of these young guys, they show something, their trade value increases. Even Yabu shows a little bit of signs of life. Who would be like your dream player to add to this roster right now?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I wish that's a really good question. I'm just in my mind right now, just sorting by the teams who are likely to be sellers at the trade deadline, who have a player that would be obtainable, and it's tough. Actually, do you have any? I'm thinking of a couple guys, but do you have anybody in mind?
I mean, yeah, I'm trying to think of like I can't help my brain from going to like what is realistic. And it's tough and like so thinking about realistic makes me go to like I don't know, like a Larry Nance Jr. kind of situation. Like
I
he's
went
not
with Drew Eubanks. that was my realistic answer.
We're too practical.
What team
Geoff.
is he on? I don't even know what team he's on. Is he on Spurs or? Oh, we lost.
Who are you talking about, Nance or Eubanks?
Oh wait, there. Oh, you muted yourself, Geoff.
Yeah, Eubanks is the backup for the Kings. Nance is on
Kings.
the Cavs, right? Yeah, Nance is on the Cavs, right?
Nance is on the Cavs and has started out really poorly. Like has not shot well. Like I think that they would be and. They're probably set with their real rotation. Like he's getting a few minutes, but I feel like they would be willing to move on from him. I don't.
Okay. I think I have an interesting name. What about 40-year-old Brook Lopez? If the Clippers keep on this path,
that is an interesting name.
Brook Lopez for 15 minutes a game, and the Clippers reach a point by the trade deadline where, okay, this isn't the season. We got to start getting rid of pieces. And if Brook Lopez, it's not like he's blowing them away, but he does still profile as someone who can space the floor, somebody who can protect the rim across short minutes. That could be an interesting target for the Knicks to go after.
You sold me. I'm in on Brook Lopez. Let's do it.
Yeah, that could probably be a real. If the Clippers continue down this path right now, yeah, I could see him becoming available. I mean, they're 3-8 right now, right? Or even. Refresh this. 4-9. They're 4-9.
Yeah, they just beat Dallas in overtime. James Harden had a flashback 47, 15, and 11.
Yeah, they're playing today, I believe. Brook Lopez, that fits that profile. I know he's not achievable, but like a Kyle Filipowski would be really nice.
Yeah,
Flip would be sweet. Yeah.
Yeah. And you never know what they're going to do with Utah right now. They're 4-8. They're like in the play-in. If the bottom falls out, maybe they may want to move on from some of those guys, but I doubt it. My dream
I think we lost you. George.
Oh, you lost me again?
We lost your mic. You said my dream, and then the universe did not want to hear about your dreams.
my dream is not to be heard. My dream guy is like a Terry Eason type.
Tari Eason is that's
XJ's dream too, George.
That is my dream as well. Yeah.
You cut out again, George.
Oh man. All right, I'm back. Trey Murphy is another guy that I love his.
Yeah.
Yeah, Geoff and I were just way too practical with our.
We're
like, what's a low-cost player who is the team is currently giving up on them because the team is awful or the player is awful? like, but these guys, that you're mentioning, obviously in a dream situation, Tari Eason is one of my favorite players in NBA. So, like, I think he's one of the best fits on a number of teams, and then obviously Trey Murphy's a fit anywhere. Ridiculous shooter, and aggression is if you're talking about aggression from the 3-point line, you're talking about Trey Murphy. So.
That's what I'm talking like that. Those two guys I think would fit perfectly, and they give you that size and length into what the Knicks are doing right now. Now the idea is to find the Timu, the Timu version of those guys, so the Dollar Tree guys. So we'll see. It'll be interesting, but that's the kind of type of player I'd like to see the Knicks look at if it doesn't work out with the current players they have right now.
You did kind of open my eyes, George, to how, like, I'm imagining somebody just stumbling upon this live stream and being like, oh, like, I'm a Knicks fan. What are they talking about? And then just some idiot's like, they should go after Drew Eubanks. And he's just like, all right, that's enough of the show. All right, we could have gone a little bit higher.
Yeah, the stream was kicking ass until the 1 hour and 12-minute point.
Yeah, these hot hand theory guys said Drew Eubanks and Larry Nance Jr. should be the Knicks targets. Like, that's pretty rough.
I love that. All right. Well, I want to thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope we can do this again. Maybe once a month would be kind of cool. Check in. We had another topic, which I think we're going to save it. Once we get past this next stretch and we're back and healthy and whole again, I think it'll be relevant to address that topic at that point. Health is the key to anything, to the Knicks being able to achieve the ultimate goal this season, which is winning the NBA championship. And I will say, I do think that what we have seen from these Knicks so far is that absolutely 100% they can win the NBA championship. You need some help on the other end. I think personally we match up well against the Nuggets, even though the Nuggets are fantastic. I think we match up better against them than we do OKC. I think OKC is a tough match, but they're a tough matchup for everybody. But maybe they'll beat the shit out of each other so much in the 7-game series, and lose a couple players here and there, and then he'll limp into the finals, and we're there. Let's go.
That's the hope. That's the best chance.
That's the hope. And then Mitch just grabs every single offensive rebound. And that was another thing that I would like to see is, I haven't seen enough of it, is more feed Mitch, alley-oops to Mitch. There's no one has that chemistry right now with Mitch on this team at this moment.
I thought you were gonna say you wanted to see more offensive rebounds from Mitch. I was like, yeah, I want more of those too.
Yeah, I want more. I want more of that. Yeah, by the way, Mitch, this is crazy. Tommy Beard tweeted this out. The NBA's all-time record for most offensive rebounds per 36 minutes over the course of a full season is 6.6 by Moses Malone in 1979-80. Dennis Rodman's career high was 5.7. As of this morning, Mitchell Robinson is averaging 13 offensive rebounds per 36 minutes. 13.
That's just nonsense numbers. That's like, you can't even wrap your mind around that number. It's just ridiculous. So
it's like really it's like NBA 2K type stats. It's just insane.
It's a really interesting and fun thing to watch. Like, if when Mitch is on the court, if you just get a chance, and I'm not saying I'm the only person to do this. That's obviously not true. But it's really, really fun to just be like, okay, why is Mitch, like, when the shot goes up, why does he dart to this spot? And he's talked about it with, Fred Katz has quoted him as saying, like, I study film and I study where the ball is most likely to go. I feel like
That's what Rodman used to do.
Yeah,
It's
it's
literally what
wild.
Rodman used to do. Yeah.
It's so wild to just see him be like, the shot go up and he just darts to a specific spot on the floor before the ball gets there. And it's very, very interesting.
It's fabulous. I mean, he's number one in offensive rebound percentage, 29.9%. First in rebound percentage, 25.1%. First in offensive rebounds per 100 possessions. First in rebounds, in total rebounds per 100 possessions. Knicks are a plus 17.59 with him on the floor. Crazy. And that's only in 17 minutes, 16 minutes or something per game.
It's just,
we're lucky to have him.
You run out of words for how impactful he's been. He's so important to the team, and yeah, it's just, you just hope he stays healthy.
Absolutely. And he just completely frustrates other teams too. That's the other thing. He pushes them out of their comfort zones. I wish he hadn't gotten into the foul trouble. I think a couple of the fouls were offensive fouls, which were, I think, silly offensive fouls that were called on him, and that limited his impact on that Miami game. But he's got to stay out of foul trouble. We need him to get as many minutes as he can possibly play in a game for to us to maximize what he has to offer, especially now during this period of time when OG is going to be out. So he's a key factor in this. Okay, thank you everybody for tuning in. Again, this is Into the Knicks-Verse and Hot Hand Theory, the team up. We did a great team up here. You guys were fabulous. I love chopping it up with you guys. You're both so smart and articulate, and your love for the game and for the Knicks, it's infectious. You guys should check out their show. You guys, when do you guys usually put out videos?
We drop podcasts every Tuesday at 11 a.m. every single Tuesday, but then we also do 2 a week sometimes. We're starting to incorporate live streams. Geoff is writing articles. He's writing like a bandit on our new website, hothandtheory.com. So we're kind of everywhere right now. But yeah, appreciate those kind words, George, and super happy to be on here with you and chop it up with you, get your insights and be on your awesome platform. And your audience in the chat has been just like going off. So I love seeing that for live stream. So it's just been awesome being on here.
Yeah, you must, I mean, it's just clear, like, to get that type of consistent engagement, and just thanks so much for having us on. I mean, you said we're articulate, but I'm stumbling over my words here, but we are super appreciative. We appreciate you very much.
Geoff's articulate whenever he's unmuted. That's the thing that we know about.
It helps. When he's muted, he's really articulate. He's dropping the best takes.
Just trust us on that.
Meanwhile, I'm the one who cut out like 18 times today with this mic here. I don't know what's going on. I think it's my Onyx is starting to go. All right. Well, I will obviously be doing recaps for every game, doing lives on off days, try to do pregame shows with some guests as well. Eventually, we'll be taking calls through the Discord. Also, if you haven't joined the channel yet, check it out. The join button is down below if you want to support the Knicks-Verse. And check out the gear. Got the merch going. Going to have some new stuff. And yes, I do design a lot of it. Actually, I was a creative director in advertising for years. I worked at Ogilvy.
Oh, it's obvious. So you can see it. So I appreciate that.
That's where it came up. In fact, one of the reasons when I first started this channel, I was like, the graphics were so horrible on all these channels way back. I was like, fuck that. We need an upgrade. And you've seen it. And even ESPN totally changed their graphics, and they kind of matched a little bit of the graphics that I got here, because they woke up to what YouTube can do. You know, it's a powerful platform, and you can't treat it like it's, mom and pop. And I love the look and vibe of your graphics as well. That's why I echoed that in the thumbnail. So
I loved it. Yeah, that was that's the first thing I noticed. I was like, oh, this thumbnail's hard, dude. I love this. So you crushed it.
George, you don't know how funny what you just said was, because you're speaking to one like super genius with this stuff, and then one person whose intuition would have been to treat it as a mom and pop type thing. So, I'm just grateful that I stumbled upon XJ, because
you got the
Lord only knows what a show I made would have looked like if he didn't exist.
That's good. That's good. It's a good partnership. It's a great partnership you guys have. So let's do this again for sure. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. Again, if you are watching this in a replay, drop your comments. I try to read them all. Subscribe, turn on the notification bell, share the video, and I will see you. Hit the thumbs up button too. We will see you around the Knicks-Verse. Let's go.